Hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Lunch and Learn. Today's topic is why everything you choose to believe is true. And if you've been in my community for any length of time or attended one of my events or trainings or programs, you've heard me say this time and time again. Everything you believe is true. And it really, really is. I think at some level, at some deep level, you know it. You know that everything you believe is true, yet you might have some questions about what's behind it so that you can really make it work better for you. It's all about raising your awareness. That's what we're all about, raising your awareness. And so today we are diving a bit deeper into this mindset mechanism behind why that is the case. Okay, so for those of you that don't know me, I'm Larissa McCooch, author, speaker, and CEO of Larissa McCooch Coaching, and I lead highly successful women through mental barriers and into unstoppable confidence, authenticity, and empowered lives. And I want to welcome you here today. I want to welcome you to this talk. I want to welcome you to our community. If this is your first time here, let us know it's your first time in the chat. And if you are tuning in by replay, type in replay in the chat just so we know you are with us. And if you are here live, let us know where you're coming in from. Okay, so today's topic is why everything you choose to believe is true. I want you to think about if you've ever felt overwhelmed because you've just had too many choices. Choices are not always advantageous. Sometimes when you have too many people's opinions flying at you and you're not really sure where to turn, or you don't know if you should do this or should do that, and you see the possibilities for everything, but you don't know which choice to make, versus the moments where you wake up and everything just seems like it's working out for you. Everything is flowing organically, almost like you're in a movie. It is completely surreal. You get the perfect email, you get the perfect opportunity. Challenges that you once had, they literally just seem to disappear. And it really is like magic. Maybe you keep telling yourself to focus on the positive and you try, yet bad thoughts keep creeping into your head. And the more you say like, oh, this is a good thing, or I feel good. Yet a part of you says, stop lying to yourself. And that part is really, really strong because it's much more conditioned. And you might see yourself, or you might see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you've not really seen it too close. It's really far in the distance. You've seen others succeed and they claim to have good things, yet your dream is far away and it just flashes and flashes and then disappears, or flashes and flashes and then gets hidden away. And you don't really seem to get closer to it. Okay? The thing is, everything in your life is a story, and that is the story that you tell yourself. And it may be true to you, and it may be true to someone else. Whatever you're conditioned to focus on really does expand. So I want to share a story, something I was thinking about this morning, and it was really about when I was growing up. We had a comfortable life, and it was by no means luxurious. It was really comfortable. The word luxury really wasn't in my vocabulary, other than maybe looking at the occasional show home or seeing things pop up on TV and in movies. And things like getting my nails done, buying beautiful clothing, having nice shoes and purses was not in my realm of possibilities. It's not that I rejected it. I just didn't actually think that was something I would ever do. I was trained to go into, like when we went shopping, I was trained to go into certain stores in the mall. And I would ignore a lot of them. I'd be like, ooh, that's not my kind of store. That's not my kind of store. Then the ones I thought were affordable or reasonable for me, I headed right for the sale rack first before I even looked at what was available. And I certainly didn't even look at the stores that were out of my price range or what was potentially accessible to me. I didn't even notice them. So bit by bit, gradually over time, I allowed this really tight hold on what is possible to expand for me. And I had several photo shoots just because. I hired an image consultant. I indulged in a few luxuries and actually started purchasing things full price, which was not how I grew up. And I decided to even buy them before looking at the price tag. And just over a year ago, I was sitting in a seminar room And there was a speaker, and he started a conversation with someone nearby who was wearing a Rolex. And they talked about differences between real Rolexes versus fake ones. And my ears really perked up. It's something I had random thoughts about in the past. I'd really forgotten about it because it wasn't even in my realm of possibilities. That day, I listened and I paid attention. A few weeks later, I was in California and found myself at a conference, and I started noticing people's watches. And I don't wear watches. I didn't wear watches. I had a Fitbit. I took it off because it was too clunky. And for some reason, I just could not get people's watches out of my mind. And I found myself in a shopping complex in California, and there was a Rolex store. And I passed by the store. I was like, oh, a Rolex store. I didn't know they had entire stores dedicated to Rolex. So I passed by, and something in me was a little uncomfortable because I was like, I should go in. And I'm like, oh, no, I couldn't go in. Like, I'm not going to go buy one right now. So I passed by, and then I had to pass the store on the way back to my hotel. And so I saw the store, and something in me just froze, and I started hovering around the store. I pretended to sift through my purse. I saw a bathroom sign, so I went to the bathroom and I passed by the store again. I'm trying to peek without being too obvious. And I finally gained the courage to walk in. And when I walked in, it completely shifted things for me because I actually tried, I looked around, I looked at watches, and instead of looking at price tags, I went, would I actually want one of these? I changed the question I was asking. Would I want to have one of these? I wonder what that would look like on my hand. What would be the right color for me? There's different color palettes. There's different shades of the Rolex, right? There's rose gold, there's silver, there's combined metals. And so I started asking different questions, and then I tried a couple of them on, and I realized, oh, that looks cute on the shelf. That does not look cute on my arm. This is the one for me. And so it was a completely different experience because I chose to make it a different experience. Flash forward a few days later, still in California, this California experience was my Rolex experience, I guess. And I kept looking at people's watches. And there were two people at the next conference I was at. I had back-to-back conferences, and they had Rolexes. And I could not get this off my mind. Like, I couldn't take my eyes off them. I was just fixated on these watches. And I started noticing them left, right, and center. It was crazy. And right before we went to the airport, a friend and I went shopping on Rodeo Drive, and we went to look around and we went to buy things. And we found ourselves in a Rolex store, and I easily popped in there this time. And I knew what I was looking for. I knew what I wanted to try on. I wanted to really explore things, see how it felt, feel what it was like on my body. And I felt so much more confident. And really, at that moment, I actually felt worthy of the watch. And one of the really cool things, if you go to a Rolex store, is they have a coffee table book, and it's a beautiful book. It's really substantial. And so they gave me this book. They gifted me this book, and it's got all their watches. It's got some of their sponsorships in there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a beautiful book, and it's really substantial. And so that brought Rolex into my experience. After I saw it the first time I was triggered, I kept seeing it over and over again. And as soon as I made the decision to bring it into my awareness and recognized it, I kept seeing it over and over. It's almost like when you choose to buy a car, right? We had other cars. We decided to get a Lexus. It wasn't something that we even thought of. The opportunity came up. I never noticed the Lexus cars in my life before. We bought a Lexus, and then all of a sudden I see Lexus everywhere. When you make a decision to do something or to buy something, all of a sudden you start to recognize these experiences. Now, why am I telling you this? Why am I telling you this? Because everything you believe is true, and you actually have a choice in what your truth is. Okay, so I want you to think about that. I have a choice. Write that in the chat, like, I have a choice, because you were born with infinite potential and possibility. That when you really look at the dark matter in the world, like the part that we are aware of, the part of the world and the universe that we're actually fully aware of, is such a tiny piece. It's like 3%, 4%. And astrophysics shows that there's 96% of the universe that we're not even aware of. So when you start raising your possibilities and start understanding how the world works and how you work, you start to shift your interactions with it, right? As a child, you were born with infinite potential, and you were literally unprogrammed or not nurtured to move forward with that infinite potential. And you're always creating your future. You bring it forth through your thoughts, through your actions, through your feelings, through your beliefs, through your values, through your goals, through your dreams, regardless of your level of conscious awareness. Okay. So everything you think, everything you speak, everything you hear, everything you dream about, good or bad, regardless of whether it's at the conscious level or at the unconscious level, is your awareness. And your current awareness, coupled with the future, is what really create a deeper reflection of your unconscious programming. Okay, so here's what you need to know. You are inundated with more than 12 million bits of information per second. Used to be 11, now it's 12. It's going to keep going up because we have cell phones and we have so many distractions in our world these days. Information is accessible to us. And this is way too much for our minds to handle. If we had to focus on all of it, it would cause anyone to get overwhelmed and get into a complete tailspin. So our neurology, our biology is smart. Our mind has many filters. Our brain has many filters that delete, distort, and generalize information so that we can actually process it at a manageable level. So it takes these 12 million bits of information per second and runs a whole bunch of filters and processes through it and gives us about 128 bits of information per second that we can actually process in our conscious mind. And our conscious mind prefers to process information in chunks. So like chunks of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at the most. So 7 pieces of information is what research shows we're really able to comprehend at most. Generally 5 is most people's top level. Okay, so we delete a lot of this information, going from 12 million to 128 bits a second. That is deleting a lot of information that is presented to us. And we do this so that we can interact with the world and we can actually comprehend things. And the mechanism, the actual physical mechanism that does this is called the reticular activating system. It's like a gatekeeper or a mediator that serves as a filter between your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. And it's located in the core of your brainstem, and it takes instructions from your conscious mind and passes them to your subconscious mind. So your conscious mind, once you have the ability to really be cognizant and use your conscious mind at its fullest capacity after 7 to 9 years old, you have the ability to really work with this. And the RAS is responsible for functions like sleep, behavior modification, and it works with the information that is being processed through the process of habituation. So one of the processes that we have is the habits that we have, right? It allows us to create habits so that we can just repeat things and do them automatically without having to think about them and remain sensitive to all the inputs. It's like me reaching for the glass and taking a drink. It's a habit. It's a trained skill and behavior that I've acquired. I consciously think, "Ooh, I'm thirsty," or I want to use the glass as an example, and then I automatically do it. I don't think through every single step. Now, sometimes what's really, really incredible is that we can actually train this RAS. So whatever you ultimately focus on is going to appear at a future time. It's based on some of the programming that you've had from your past, but when you reprogram the RAS, you can actually reprogram this part of your brain, and once you do that, it can't distinguish between real events and imagined reality. So this is where, when we make up stories and hallucinations, it actually perceives them as real. Okay, so when you look at pro athletes and how they visualize before the Olympics, they close their eyes, they see things, they get in a completely sensory, imaginative experience, and then the winners generally go through some of these processes. They're like, of course I won. I've won 1,000 times in my mind before. It's automatic. And or even if you present a speech, if you're presenting an important presentation and you run it over and over in your mind, you may practice it physically. The mental rehearsal is so key. When you mentally rehearse, it will allow your mind to come up with any other possibilities to successfully complete the process, because you're literally programming your mind to go get the answer that you're looking for. And even if it doesn't work exactly how you've practiced, you will open yourself up to other resources, because the key components are going to be automatic, and then your mind will be free to access any other resources to achieve your goal. Okay, so this RAS, this reticular activating system, is really, really key. When I was working with clients that had stroke, I was working with them in a physical rehabilitative capacity. And so clients that have strokes, they may have the ability to function on one side of their body and not function on another. And so one thing with stroke clients is their hands generally tend to close up if they've had if they were affected fully in their body. And so for them to even like move a finger, they can move this one freely, they can move it around, but for them to move a finger requires so much concentration, yet they can get to the point of opening their hand, right? And so there is an element of neuroplasticity that's involved. The brain, neuroplasticity is where you actually can change the neural pathways that your brain takes in order to do things in your body. And I'm going to use the stroke as an example because it's physical and it's easy to see and comprehend. So the way that when you have use of two arms, the brain has a map of how it tells your body to do things with two hands. If you have a stroke, the map is going to change. Okay, the map of how information goes to your body will change because you'll have access to one side, not the other. This side it'll continue being stronger. It'll probably compensate for the other one, versus this one is going to be stagnant. And you can retrain the neurology to do things like move your fingers. However, the pathway that is going to be taken in the neurology is going to be different than the original one. And it's going to be different from the opposite side of the body. It's not going to be the same pathway. And so what's beautiful is we have the ability to retrain our neurology at a physical level and at a mental level. So just like retraining the body to do certain physical tasks, you can retrain your mind in order to do them. Okay, so you can retrain your thinking, and thinking is one of the most powerful forces that is out there. We have a choice and ability to do that. And sometimes when we get stuck in one pattern or on one blueprint, we don't know how to get off. The first step is you got to make that decision to move forward and realize and remind yourself, I have infinite potential and I am going to train myself to focus on what's right. I'm going to train myself to ask myself better questions. I am going to train myself to move forward in a better direction. So one of the ways that the RAS can train itself, that you can train the RAS, is through better questions. Often we're asking disempowering questions. Why am I not good enough? Why can't I lose weight? Why can't I find the person of my dreams? Well, these are not empowering questions. Why do I keep thinking about all the bad things that can happen with this pandemic? That's not a very good question. Why can't I get this pandemic out of my mind? That's a question a lot of people are asking. And when you keep asking yourself that question, you're going to get the answers. Your mind is trained to get the answers. So simple solution is even asking better questions. So how can I make this better, right? How can I make this moment even more magical? how can I use this information Larissa's talking about today in my own life? Why must I use this information to move forward? When am I going to give it a shot next? When am I going to try it next? You've got to bring this information into your awareness and start asking yourself better questions and start interacting with your world in a different way. The first thing is by choice. Your reality, your current reality, is a hallucination. It's made up. It's a made up. So why not make that hallucination great? Example of a hallucination yesterday, no, 2 days ago, Monday, my husband was late and he was out. He was working, he was on a job site, and Rogers had something go on with their phones where none of the Rogers networks was working during the day. And so I kept texting him and I didn't have a reply. I called him, it went to voicemail. I'm like, oh, he probably forgot to charge his phones. Oh, maybe he's in a meeting. All of a sudden, my mind created all these other ideas. I had so many thoughts going through my head, like 10 different random thoughts. And then at 7 o'clock, when he said he'd be back, he wasn't home. It was 7:15 when he finally got home. And I had a conversation. I'm like, I'm really glad you came home. And he explained the whole Rogers thing. And I'm like, that's not what I would have assumed would have happened. Do you want to know what assumptions I made? And I told him my laundry list of things that were going through my head. And he's just like, you're kidding me, right? I'm like, no. I was like coming up with the worst possible scenarios. And I know this. And it was funny because I allowed that to happen. And when he reframed what had actually happened, it was a great reminder of this. And so often we can come up with all of these hallucinations when they're not true. So why not? Unconscious mind can't tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So why not program yourself with a better reality? Why not start shifting your thinking towards the things that you do want? And I think when you really look at it, what would it be worth to you? What would it be worth to you? Good morning, Michael. What would it be worth to you to be able to shift, to like literally go into your mind and turn on a switch that says, okay, here's what I'm focused on. Here's what I'm focused on. Go into your mind. Here's what I'm focused on, and make it really, really good. Because that's what we need to do. That's what's required to train this reticular activating system in order to serve us. Okay? We want to decide what future we want. We want to reprogram our mind to actually create it and to allow our unconscious mind to bring our future to us. You can completely reprogram yourself for successful completion of anything. All you've got to do is make the decision. And if you feel like you're having challenges, even identifying what your blueprints are, you might be like, I got some bad blueprints in there and I don't really know what they are. I'm sure they're not working because something's a little off in my life. And you really do want to rewrite them. You are serious about being proactive and you want that bright future. Now you can have it. Let us know. I'm happy to book a complimentary consultation with you to see how we can help you, because sometimes if you can't see the forest through the trees, sometimes you are too close to your own situation. And often that is the case. Even me, I know that I go to see other people for guidance because sometimes I can't see things in my own situation. I've gotten much better at it for most areas, and here and there, I still need feedback from others. So if you want feedback, if you want to have a consultation where we actually look at your blueprint and we help give you solutions and strategies to move you forward, then let us know. Just DM us or pop a "want my blueprint checked" in the chat, and we will certainly reach out to you. Someone on my team or I will reach out to you. It's really all about shifting the blueprint towards success. It's about going in there, shifting the focus of the reticular activating system so it can use all of its power to get you to where you want to be. That's what it's all about. When you start doing that, your neurology is going to shift. Your neurology is actually found in every single cell of the body through the neurotransmitters in your body. And it is a powerful, powerful thing. So every time you utter something that doesn't serve you, it affects every single cell of the body. We want to change that. So cancel, cancel, cancel that. Go up there and flip the switch. So reach out to us, book a complimentary consultation, and we will be happy to take a look at your blueprint, or just type blueprint check in the chat and we will reach out. So that's it for today. I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has given you some different perspective on why everything you choose to believe is true, because ultimately life is a hallucination. You might as well make it really, really good. Enjoy. Bye for now.